Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
This job, we try to save as many people as we can. Sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. But you don't give up.
New York, Washington, D.C., Sokovia.
Okay, that's enough.
Captain, people are afraid.
That's why I'm here. We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game.
I'm sorry, Tony. If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
I know we're not perfect. But the safest hands are still our own.
I was wrong about you. The whole world was wrong about you. They're coming for you.
I'm not the one that needs to watch their back.
This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony.
You just started a war. Stay down. Final warning.
I could do this all day.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to roost!
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
John Marson
and Marcus Hurley.
You can contact us on email at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. So, we've seen Captain America Civil War, the newest and arguably maybe the best Marvel movie to date.
I liked it. I don't know if it's the best one, though.
Really?
Possibly.
What would you say is better then?
X-Men 2?
Well, that's not really MCU though, is it?
No, I know. I appreciate that. But what else? I probably enjoyed Deadpool more as well.
I suppose. Again, that's more of an X-Men one. So you're just generally more down with the X-Men thing, are you?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Just enjoy it more.
I thought that Winter Soldier was possibly a bit better.
Yeah, I suppose. So, I guess.
But I don't know, because I've seen Winter Soldier a few times and I've only seen this once. So
yeah, well, in the interest of full disclosure, I've seen Captain America Civil War twice. I was lucky enough to go to the press screening of it, although it wasn't under the best circumstances because it was an IMAX screen and we got there late and we were like the second row from the front. So the screen, it was more of an assault than an enjoyable experience, really. But I did get to see it, and I enjoyed it so much that I went back and I watched every MCU movie from the beginning again. So that's 14 if you count Civil War twice. I've seen 14 Marvel movies in 2 weeks.
How do you feel about that, Rob?
Well,
Have you had enough?
I appreciate it. I definitely had my fill by the end, but I really appreciated a lot of the callbacks. There was loads of little subtle ones, like villains from one or minor villainous characters in like one movie would show up in another one, and also a lot of the like plot strands from the previous Captain America movies, they all show up in this one. Things as subtle as perhaps like when at the end of Winter Soldier, Black Widow is leaking all of the Hydra files onto the internet. and that's picked up in this one because that's where the antagonist character in Civil War, that's where he sort of gets a lot of his info at the beginning, which kind of sends him on his dark path. Yeah. So yeah, I guess because what this film deals with really is kind of it's all about morality, I think, really, and it's kind of like which side you come down on, Team Cap or Team Iron Man.
Yeah, it's like, will you fight the power or support, or just get in line, kind of thing.
Yeah.
One thing I did find really interesting about this was how they adapted the Civil War storyline to fit in. They essentially rewrote Civil War to fit in with the current MCU.
Yeah.
So it was a completely unique Civil War experience with hints and references back to the comic miniseries.
Yeah, and they almost
surprised me because I was like, "Oh wow, this is a completely original kind of story." Yeah.
Yeah, they almost take the sort of standpoints that you wouldn't expect them to, really, because you always think of Tony Stark as a bit of a rebellious character, and Captain America's more someone who would toe the line. But after the events of Winter Soldier, he's kind of got a deep sort of distrust in authority and stuff. So it's almost set up in the opposite way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I think such a goody two-shoes now.
Yeah. I think obviously the biggest success the film has, though, is just juggling all those characters.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them, and also this is the first time we've seen Spider-Man in the MCU, which I thought was brilliant, and the way he was introduced, it just makes so much sense, and it was really funny.
It's nice that he's a bit younger in it as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought that was good.
People found him annoying, but no, I thought it was quite a cool way of doing it, because it's like it explains why he hasn't been in the other films, because he's just become a superhero at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the sort of the origin stories kind of already happened.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope they don't have to go.
Well, we've had so many films of it. It's almost like if you don't know how Spider-Man and Batman have become who they are, you really need to get out. Just get out of the cinema. Just go.
Oh, right. I thought you meant get out more.
Oh, no, just get out of the cinema. Just go away.
Yeah, don't go out more. God.
No.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because, Tony Stark's, it's been announced recently, and it's almost a bit of a spoiler for Civil War, that Tony Stark's going to be showing up in the new Spider-Man movie.
You can kind of see how now, innit?
Well, yeah, especially after that second stinger.
We should mention that it's going to be spoilerific, isn't it, this podcast?
Yeah, pretty much. If you haven't seen Civil War, then do yourself a favour and go and check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
And, tune in for episode next week.
Yeah.
I would also recommend, if you haven't seen Ant-Man, go and watch that before.
Definitely.
Because one of my friends kind of went, who Ant-Man's a thing? I didn't go and see his film because I thought the premise was stupid. But everyone was like, oh, that guy. And I'm thinking, you totally miss out on that. And you just don't. There's a whole chunk of that bit that's just missing if you haven't seen Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like the way that he's introduced as kind of the sort of a fan. You know,
yeah,
he's like, you're really great too.
Yeah.
He's just making up the numbers, really.
I did,
how he feels he is, but he's really useful in the end.
I did love how they managed to fit in that part, because at the end of, it was at the end of Winter Soldier where we see Cap and Falcon. I can't remember the real names. Rogers and the other guy. They've got Bucky in the hand vice, and he's like, "What do we do?" And he goes, "I know a guy."
Yeah, they actually changed that scene up a bit. It's not composed exactly the same way.
Well, no, but I reckon that was probably taken from shots of that and edited down into that little snippet. So it looks like it's one little scene, but it was, they expanded on that so much more.
Yeah, well, when I rewatched, what was it at the end of? Was
I'm
it at
sure
the
it
end
was
of?
Winter Soldier, wasn't it? Because
I think it might have been Ant-Man.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah, I think it was, or Avengers: Age of Ultron. I think it was more recent than that, because obviously I don't think they would have had that footage at the time that they did Winter Soldier. But I remember watching it and going, I think they've literally.
Yeah, you're right.
The
It was
first time
Ant-Man,
they've. It's the first time they've literally lifted a scene from a future movie, and the dialogue is all in there, and he's definitely got his hand in the vice.
Yeah.
But I think there's a little more coverage. They sort of just
yeah, definitely.
they just sort of edited it a bit differently.
Yeah.
But
cool,
yeah,
though.
essentially, I know a guy that was referring to Ant-Man. So yeah, that was cool. Yeah, so yeah, I think because having gone back and watched them all, I think it's definitely worth seeing the previous Captain America movies. I don't think any of the others are that essential, really. Maybe Avengers: Age of Ultron because obviously of all the characters it introduces, and maybe the first Avengers just because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think Age of Ultron seems to have its place, and this film is kind of linked to it in a strange way because it introduces the nation of Wakanda.
Yes,
And
yes, it does.
Characters that I'm sure will come up in the upcoming Black Panther movie.
Yeah, what did you think of Black Panther?
I thought he was awesome. I thought he was spot on. I thought I was dubious about the costume. When I first saw it, I thought, oh God, he just looks like a motorcyclist. But the way he moved, everything, I thought, because essentially he just wears a bodysuit. It's a bodysuit and kind of like, you know, a Panther-esque head with a little bit of ears, almost a bit Batman. Streamlined Batman. No cloak, no gauntlets, just claws and kicking ass. I don't know whether it's the same guy doing that. I mean, it doesn't matter. That's the whole point. I mean, the movements of that character were fantastic, and the fact that he's wearing the armor, but then you see him fight without the armor, and you're thinking.
Before I realised it was Black Panther, I was calling him Fetish Kitty. He kind of looks a bit bondagey in that gear, doesn't he?
Well, it's kind of difficult because it is just all black and he's got a little necklace bit, and you kind of think there's no other way to do that. But I was very impressed with, and I'd forgotten that it was obviously made of vibranium. So it's the bit where he's standing there and this guy on a mounted machine gun's just shooting him, and he's just watching him, just looking at him like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So is his suit made of vibranium, or is he?
Well, it's his nation's metal, isn't it?
Oh right, okay. That's the rare metal that everyone pillages.
So obviously the first thing they would have done is make a suit out of that. And that's passed down for generation to generation. He says it's like a mantle. So yeah, awesome. I'm really looking forward to it.
He's kind of like the Phantom in the way that he lives out in the middle of nowhere. He's got a massive statue right outside where he lives, and he goes around in a weird fetishy suit, beating up people.
I wonder who.
Yeah, go on.
I wonder who from this Civil War movie will show up in Black Panther, because there's bound to be. Yeah. Because if that's where they're hiding out now, in Wakanda, that could be interesting if they bring in any of those guys for that.
I'm wondering, because I'm thinking this is probably it, because Cap has set himself up perfectly to say that I'm not going to reappear again, possibly until Infinity Wars. Well, no, he said that I'll be there if you need me, call me. He's basically done a goodbye until the main event.
Yeah.
I mean, it ends the trilogy of films without going down the full Civil War route, which I'm glad they didn't, because it's so annoying, and basically it would have led to clones and various other bits and pieces and all sorts of nonsense, and people were speculating as to how it was going to end. Because you had the Falcon, who's already taken on the mantle of Cap, and you kind of think, oh.
Yeah, maybe.
Because when I saw Sharon Carter, who I didn't peg, pun intended, was related to Peggy Carter, I did not tweak on that, and I went, oh shit, of course. And because I knew about the character, but I didn't realise the link, if there was one. Because I was thinking, oh cool, that's quite nice, I made it relate to that. Oh wow, so they've taken an actual Marvel character who's involved in the whole Civil War thing. She's involved in Cap in the comics, and they kind of tied her to Peggy Carter, and I'm thinking, that's so awesome. So did they retrospectively create Peggy Carter with that in mind?
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering if she might end up being Captain Marvel.
Well, she's actually
But that would-
Agent 13, I think is her name. And she's a,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
a
She's
shield
yeah.
agent.
silly, isn't it?
Yeah, and the guy you said it was Crossbones or something.
Yeah, I
the
think
guy
so,
who
yeah.
they're fighting at the start. Because yeah.
I knew it was that guy from The Winter Soldier. I just
Yeah, I
somehow,
completely
I
forgot.
somehow knew. I just saw him fighting, and when he went, or something like, I can't remember what, he said something along the lines of, oh, he's mine, or something, I've been waiting a long time for this, before he started going hand to hand with Cap. And I'm thinking, it's that
Yeah.
guy, isn't it? Because he beat him up in the lift. Something in my brain just tweaked, and I just thought, God, it's got to be him. And
Yeah.
then when
Well,
he-
that was part of the reason I went back, because there were so many little things that I kept going, I should know what that means. And it was annoying me, so I had to go back.
I'm
and,
glad they ditched the big truck, because I was thinking, were you going to start having flashbacks to Uncharted 4? And that demo, just like,
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think any of the any of the Netflix stuff is going to cross over? Like, do you think we'll see Jessica Jones in Infinity War or anything like that?
Well, apparently they said they're dealing with 67 different characters for Infinity War.
So we're going to have to, right? They're going to be dragging them all out.
God.
Yeah, well, it would make sense, but I guess it depends whether if there's much of it that takes place in New York. I mean, who knows? They could even show up in Spider-Man for all we know. And
True.
Yeah, true.
yeah,
Jessica
Um,
Jones
while
and
we're-
Matt Murdock sitting in a cafe, not knowing who each other are, and just
Probably more a bar with Jessica, right?
yeah.
yeah, true.
While we're on the subject of Marvel stuff, Marvel TV stuff, they just recently announced that they are indeed making Punisher into its own show.
That was
Yeah.
so obvious that was going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? It's just now that you're allowed to make ultra-violent TV shows, like it's just ripe for the picking, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, definitely. I wonder where they'll go with it, because every film I've seen of it is always the origin story, and they've sort of covered that
Yeah.
quite well.
it's
yeah.
just, I just can't believe I still can't believe I'm in the age of them making superhero films as legitimate films, and they're really enjoyable to watch, and I want to spend my money on the cinema to go and see them. It's just so
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's just like,
I mean, as far as I know, with Punisher, there's no main like arcs that need to be done.
it's just who's the bad
you got, like
guy.
Warzone and all that stuff, but I think it's mainly just going to be they're probably going to write something entirely new for it. I'd
Yeah.
have thought.
Maybe
Well,
they'll
hopefully
just
so.
include like some of the sub people, kind of like how they handled Crossbones in Civil War. So
Yeah.
there'll be some of the bigger villains, and he'll just off them or whatever for the length of the series.
Yeah, they'll probably do a couple where it'll be a really big setup and he'll be the evilest villain ever.
Yeah.
And then Punisher will just minigun him into
Non-existent.
yeah. And then
Yeah, I
carry
hope
on
he
with
does
his day.
actually get a minigun out, because he didn't at all. It was in like the sort of splash screen
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Netflix, but he never actually got
I'm
it. You
quite
saw it.
glad,
Massive
to be honest,
disappointment.
because
Yeah.
he was overpowered enough without that.
Yeah, he kind of had enough.
You give him a
he had enough
minigun,
going
and he's
on.
like, I don't know, taking out armies.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he pretty much did that anyway,
Yeah.
didn't he?
They've also said that with the whole Defenders thing, that's essentially going to be season 3 of Daredevil, because it's the same showrunners and stuff.
Wow.
So, and I think if the individual ones haven't all been out by then, I don't know if Iron Fist will have aired by then. We're talking like this time next year.
That's going to be a Netflix
So,
movie, isn't it? I think
what, Defenders?
no, the Iron Fist one, because originally
I think it was for a while, but I still think it's going to be
They might just
it's going to be a
merge
full-on
it.
show.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I don't know if Punisher will turn up in that. I suppose he could do for maybe
Because
an
I'm
episode,
thinking,
but
I'm thinking there's still a few years left. There's about 3 years until Infinity Wars Part 1, I think. Because it's 2019, 2020, I think. Which is insane to just think about. It's making my head swim.
I've got it up here.
I think
actually.
by that time, all of these characters will be well and truly established. So I would be very surprised if they don't just give everyone a paycheck saying, because this is the end of the arc, join in. It's essentially
Yeah.
going to be a Marvel Royal Rumble, isn't it? It's going to be like...
Yeah, we've got Doctor Strange in November, then Guardians of the Galaxy 2 next May, Spider-Man Homecoming in July 2017, Thor Ragnarok in November 2017, and then in 2018 you've got Black Panther in February, Avengers Infinity War Part 1 in May, Ant-Man and the Wasp in July, and then in 2019 it's Captain Marvel in March, and then Avengers Infinity War in May 2019. So that's it.
So Captain Marvel, does anyone give a shit about that one? Or?
Captain Marvel's meant to be, I think she might even be one of the most powerful allies they could ever have. Essentially, it's kind of almost god tier Marvel character.
I just don't remember anyone ever going, like when I was a kid and all this stuff was kind of more prevalent. I don't remember anyone going, oh yeah, like I'm reading Captain Marvel.
Well, it's because I think it changed mantles quite a few times. It was quite an old one, and I think he died for a few years. And then there was like another version, but the mantle's passed on. And Carol Danvers, I think, who's the current one.
Yeah, that's it.
She's the latest one to become it. So it's almost a bit like Green Lantern, how there's been loads of versions. I think it's a character like that. Because a lot of people confuse it with Miss Marvel, who was, I can't remember. But that's where Rogue got her powers from. That's one thing I would say, though. It's a real shame that Marvel and Fox can't see eye to eye. Because when they do this Black Panther movie, it would be nice to see Aurora Monroe or Storm turn up, because the two had a love interest and they know each other.
Are they from that place as well?
They dated in the same place, yeah. Because Storm's from the African continent. She was like a weather witch or a weather queen or something back then.
Yeah. I
tell you, would have just twisted in so much. It was just been, would have been a mental.
I think the reason I sort of love Civil War so much, or that I continue to enjoy the Marvel films so much, is that with movies nowadays, and well, it's probably because of TV now, the way we've been conditioned to that sort of pace of storytelling and character development. You know, we're so used to sort of seeing this stuff like unfold over like hours and hours and years, you know, and there aren't really any film universes maybe outside of, say, Star Wars, although that's only recently ramping up again. But there hasn't really been anything else that's been as consistent and with the sort of such coherent continuity to the point where they can make a film like Civil War that's tackling some, you know, really quite dark and deep topics, and you actually be able to do that, where because most superhero movies until what Marvel have done, they've all been origin stories, really, and the occasional decent sequel. That's kind of about the best you've ever got, and with this, they've sort of managed to cover so much ground, and because each film kind of, you know, builds into the next one. There's never been anything really like this, I don't think. Not even Bond, because that's always been all over the shop, you know, like with continuity. It's almost like they reboot it every year, you know. So, and I think like also, they've watching all the films in such close proximity. It made me think that, you know, Marvel, they are primarily about superheroes, but they managed to cover such a lot of ground in each one. You know, you've got Thor out there in Asgard doing crazy galactic stuff. You've got Captain America very much on planet Earth. You know, Iron Man doing crazy gadgets and tech. You know, and it seems to cover such a wide sort of range of movies that it's almost like they are what I would consider the stewards of the films that I enjoyed growing up. You know, but it's all one continuous thing. It's brilliant. I just think it's amazing.
Well, I think the way they've handled it as well, the release styles, has also made it easier to digest. Because if you went from something like Captain America to like the Avengers with the Scarlet Witch, you'd be like, hang on, she's got magic, what?
Yeah.
But the way that they did it with Captain America, it was a war film, but there was a hint of the mystic, which tied to Thor as well.
It was. Yeah, well, they and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Had the whole Yggdrasil in technology, but also alien technology and all these other bits and pieces, and it was still very grounded, but it was crazy. It was almost an element of the fantasy, you know, with that giant, ridiculous plane and you know, and the Red Skull's car and stuff like that, as well as the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And then you had 4, which merged science and magic and, like you said, the universe and all that sort of stuff. But then you also had the other Captain America films, which kept going back and forth, and you had the Avengers, which merged it all together as well, which had elements of tech and magic and Hulk and everything else.
Yeah, once the aliens came down, they were kind of like, we can get away with this now.
Exactly. but
they've already got a god in it,
Yeah.
like Thor.
Yeah. Yeah.
then
Definitely.
I think the idea of the Scarlet Witch is particularly interesting because even though she's been experimented on, her abilities are almost supernatural, aren't they? Because she can mess with your mind and stuff, which she doesn't do anymore, which is a bit weird. But she can kind of control things and use powers to do that. And I think that opens the door for things like Doctor Strange, because that's going to be so out there. It's almost a step in that direction.
Yeah,
you think it's going to be totally nuts?
It's Doctor Strange, not because of his name, but like I said, the only thing I know about Doctor Strange, apart from that he was a surgeon and got mystic powers, is that he has an I don't read all the comics and stuff, but all I know is that from watching the old Spider-Man cartoons, he was dealing with this bloke called Baron Mordo, whose master was an intergalactic demon called Dormammu. Who was the size of like fucking, I don't know, 14 foot tall or something like that. Had a flamey head and a big collar.
Yeah,
he sounds like a D&D character.
Yeah, I know.
When you read on the wiki about
if you Google it,
he's got a cloak of levitation and Eye of Agamotto that gives him added powers. Like he's
exactly,
he's been looting the dungeons, hasn't he?
The amulet of Agamotto. I loved it because there was a bit in Spider-Man the cartoons where they do something together and they go off, and Doctor Strange says, "May the amulet of Ashanti guide you," or something like that. And then Spider-Man turns around and says, "May your amulets never tickle," and then goes off and does his own thing.
I reckon there'll be some stuff feeding from Doctor Strange. I reckon will feed into Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor, probably. And this one, we've already started setting up Spider-Man and Black Panther, which will be the like alternate movies, pretty much. So, I think Doctor Strange is going to be a bit out there, but also still sort of makes sense in the context of it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer?
No, not yet.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
Should we take a minute to watch the trailer?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Stephen Strange. Might I offer you some advice? Forget everything that you think you know.
You're a man looking at the world through a keyhole. You've spent your life trying to widen it. Your work saved the lives of thousands. What if I told you that reality is one of many?
I don't believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief.
You wonder what I see in your future? Possibility.
Why are you doing this?
There are other ways to save lives. So much you don't know.
Teach me.
I do think Benedict Cumberbatch is probably a pretty good role to play. I know people say no, he's always in everything, but if you look at the actual character of Doctor Strange, I would say facial features wise, he's pretty close. He's got a strange angular head.
The first promo shot they used was the same one that I used when we started talking about that movie.
Yeah.
It's like he's in the exact same pose. And also, apparently, at the end of the shoot, he went into a comic shop dressed as Doctor Strange.
So funny.
I'm not sure about the accent. It sounds like he's very much doing a bit of a house.
Yeah.
Some people mention.
It's a bit weird, but yeah, I mean, I hope that the whole thing, because everyone seems to be the internet seems to be a bit ragey about the whole whitewashing thing, and they always seem to jump from one film to another.
Oh, is that with Tilda Swinton?
Yeah,
Was that
because
the problem?
she's supposed to be Tibetan, and it's the
Right.
whole idea is that it's, Tibet was overrun by China, but there's an ancient power within Tibet which is holding China back from fully taking it over. I knew that element of it before, even though I never read the comics, but I was surprised they didn't go for a more sort of even half Asian or someone character, rather than going for a straight forward swap. But I'm not gonna bitch about the film just because of that, because they might make it work, because I knew nothing about Civil War going into it, and it's a completely different film than I thought it was going to be.
I think there's a good chance with their hit rate to date that this film is going to be brilliant.
I've just seen Baron Mordor. There we go. Oh my god.
Yeah, and there's some really cool like Inception type effects as well.
Oh yeah, they're totally messing with different dimensions and like MC Escher style. Everything's twisting around on itself. It looks nuts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And like you're saying, Tilda Swinton's in it, who's in pretty much every film you ever watch, but you never notice her because she's a completely different person.
Yeah, she's brilliant. I'm glad that she's finally made her way into it. But yeah, Scott Derrickson's the guy who wrote this, and he's done some good stuff before.
Yeah.
Sinister. Yeah, he was working on a Deus Ex movie as well for a while, but I don't think that ever went through. No.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he used to write for Ain't It Cool. So he's a proper geek.
I've not been on that website in years. I need to go and check out what they're up to.
Yeah, I followed some of them on Twitter. Which is normally quite fun
Harry
around
Knowles,
Comic-Con,
right?
because they're just like, oh my god, they're total fanboys.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. The only other thing I wanted to mention to do with Marvel was that Inhumans was removed from their release schedule,
which makes sense.
That was like the one that they were going to be doing after Infinity War. So, and the reason for that is because they're kind of covering it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, pretty much made it the backbone of the series now. So they've probably just
there's no S.H.I.E.L.D.
You have that.
So there's no S.H.I.E.L.D. for it to be to base it on anymore.
Yeah, but they're still around though, actually. They're more like a little tiny organisation, and they've kind of covered
in the shadows.
Yeah, with a giant, massive plane. And a base. Funny enough, they seem to be in the base that Agent Carter was in, or something like that. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Oh well, I've got hold of Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've got no idea when I'm going to watch it, but
I've got to say, I really enjoyed Agent Carter. It was nice to just have a Marvel movie that was in its own sort of bubble, and Howard Stark keeps turning up, and it's because it's all familiar, and it's just like, it's just enjoyable in its own way. It's almost like watching a period piece, but it's Marvel related.
Yeah, I like her as well.
Yeah.
I think she's great. She's a great character.
She's a fantastic actress, but
I'll probably watch that before I get back into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I need to find some kind of YouTube catch me up on thing, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I've left it too long as well, like 2 years. Cool. All right. So any other thoughts about Civil War?
Brilliant.
Or shall we move on?
Go see it.
Yeah, definitely go and see it. Well, for my money, it's the best film I've seen this year, and I've seen quite a lot.
There was one other bit I thought was quite nice as well. The whole War Machine thing. Because that's good. That's obviously going to evolve. There's a storyline in Iron Man in which Rhodey refused to get into the War Machine suit. Now, originally it's because there was something happened and there was a power outage and he fell into the water and almost drowned in the suit.
Right.
So it's essentially like an iron coffin and he was just stuck in it. And it caused a whole load of issues and he had to go through rehab and all this sort of stuff. So I thought it was interesting how they've changed that, in which he didn't hit the water, he hit the ground. Rather hard.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal when that happened.
That was.
Like major spoilers at this point.
Yeah, major.
Yeah, well, Tony Stank made him those extra leg things.
Exactly. Yeah, Tony Stank. Party for Tony Stank. But you kind of see a teaser anyway in the trailer, though. You know, you've got him cradling him in his arms, and the suit's all busted.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everyone was like freaking out that he was going to buy it.
Yeah,
but no, not quite.
But I imagine that even though he's rehab, when he gets back in that suit, he's not going to like it. So he's probably going to have, in whatever you see, whatever will come up, I'm sure there will be an element of that, because otherwise, they wouldn't have bothered with the whole rehab thing.
No. Oh well, so definitely check out Civil War. It's going to be on at the cinema for ages, and it will probably be the biggest movie of the summer, not just on account of the fact that it's probably the first movie of the summer. This has been the Not Watching podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of funny things on the Not Listening podcast. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for the show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!
Bye.
There's this whole screening room thing. We haven't really talked about that on here. This is what Sean Parker, who set up Napster, he's got this idea of this thing called screening room, where basically you'd get a set-top box and you'd be able to say, like, watch Civil War at home, but you'd have to pay quite a premium amount, but like you could have that as an alternative. Like, we could all go round yours, John, and watch it on your projector.
Yeah.
Instead of all paying a tenner to go to cinema.
Kind of like an Uber exclusive Sky box office.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like an Apple TV sort of thing that you'd plug in to your projector. And also, interestingly, that I think they're doing a deal with some cinema distributors, where you would get a ticket to see it at the cinema as well, because I think they'd be unwilling to make people see it as a true alternative. Even though it's an alternative, I think they still want people to be encouraged to go to the cinema.
This is how it's intended, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you probably wouldn't bother, would you? If you had, they're saying a 48-hour rental would be $50. The set-top box would be $150. Spielberg, Jackson, Scorsese, apparently they're all in support of it.
I'd rather go to the cinema. I know I complain about prices for things, but I just think there's something about the experience of going to see a film there. Even if it does get kind of ruined, you've got the option to complain to the management and then go and see it another night or something, because the idea is that you should be able to watch this film without disturbance. A lot of people don't do it, but
certain films I'd do that for screening room.
I would.
If there was a new
certain films I wouldn't go to the cinema for. I'd happily wait a little bit.
Yeah, but if there's a new film that I really wanted to see, which I knew was going to be like a story-driven kind of thing, like maybe like Coen Brothers movie, something like that, I'd be well up for watching that on this screening room idea.
Yeah.
But something like Civil War, you've got to go to cinema and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, for me, I have a problem when I'm at home. I will, I'll get up and fix myself a drink, or I'll just miss someone saying something and it will annoy me and I'll have to wind it back. And things like that. And it's because you've got that, because you can. It's like I find my attention wanes sometimes, or I'll get distracted, or I will look at my phone, damn it, just because I can. And I like the sort of church-like atmosphere of the cinema where, you have to respect everyone, and it's just a shame when people don't, I guess. And you're shelling out.
That's why they'll burn in fiery hell.
Yeah, but recently I did the whole Limitless thing at Odeon, and I've kind of, it's £18 a month, and I've just been really enjoying, just going, I don't have anything on Thursday.
Yeah.
Let me see what's on at the cinema. Oh yeah, I heard that film's all right. I'll go and watch it on my way home from the gym. You know, I'm loving that. Just being able to just show up casually, and not have to pay
Just go through, yeah.
anymore. I know I am paying £18 a month, but the more I go,
that's just 2 tickets, really, though, or
Yeah,
even
well,
like
less
one
than
and a
that.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they put, especially if it's Civil War, and they put Civil War tax on it. They're so cheeky, honestly.
That's
like,
what they were actually fighting for, wasn't it? It's just,
Yeah, like keep cinema prices down. But we should take advantage of these
We'll sign
giant
it.
movies.
the Odeon Accord. We'll sign it. No, we won't.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, they were like, it was £12, I think, for Civil War, and it's normally a tenner. So they are cheeky when they do that. But that's why I like having Limitless, because I'm insulated against all that. And it means I can go and watch Civil War, like, tomorrow if I want, for free.
Are you going to go and watch it again?
I don't know, I might do. I'm sort of, after watching so much Marvel stuff, I feel like I need to, like, give it some time.
Yeah, rest your eyes. It's like
Yeah. Well, that's, but then I've got Agent Carter and all that, so I might just watch that instead. Not that that's going to be on anywhere near the same level.